November 20th, 1919, Jane C. Wright was a pioneering oncologist whose research on chemotherapy revolutionized cancer treatment. She developed innovative techniques for testing chemotherapy drugs on human tissue and played a key role in advancing cancer drug development. Growing up in the bustling streets of New York City, born to Corin Cook and Louis T. Wright, Jane C. Wright had a strong academic background, with her father, Louis T. Wright, being the first Black doctor in New York public hospitals. Louis T. Wright was also one of the first Black graduates from Harvard Medical School. To go even deeper into the ancestry of Jane C. Wright, her grandfather was born into slavery but also graduated from medical school. In grade school, Jane C. Wright was a strong academic and extracurricular participant, especially with math and science. After grade school, Wright then went on to Smith College, where she graduated with a degree in art and participated in swimming. She completed her residency between 1945 and 1948 at both Bellevue Hospital and Harlem Hospital. At Harlem Hospital, she became the chief resident in 1949.
Her professional career, residency at Bellevue Hospital from 1945 to 1946, and she also did residency at Harlem Hospital from 1947 to 1948. She was a chief resident and she joined her father at Harlem Hospital Cancer Foundation in 1949. She succeeded in 1952 after his death. She aimed to make chemo more accessible. Make chemo go from an unknown, untested treatment method to something that has research and data to back it up. She took a sample of a patient's tumor and grew it in a tissue culture to test their drugs and treated with the same drug used before sample was extracted. She used gases similar to those used during World War I to help with treatment, which was nitrogen mustard compounds. Her methods of chemo for skin cancer and breast cancer gave patients 10 more years of lifespan.
Jane C. Wright's work and contribution. Wright was instrumental in developing chemotherapy as a standard treatment for cancer when at the time surgery and radiation were the only primary options. She focused on the use of nitrogen mustard and other chemotherapy drugs that led to more efficient treatments for leukemia and solid tumors. Her research helped doctors tailor treatments based on patients' unique cancer cells, improving effectiveness and reducing unnecessary side effects. Wright used the technique to deliver chemotherapy to tumors using catheters inserted into arteries rather than relying on systemic administration. This method allowed higher drug concentration at the site of the tumor while reducing the side effects. In 1967, she became the highest-ranking Black woman in the U.S. medical history at the time, serving as Associate Dean and Head of Cancer Chemotherapy Research at New York Medical College. Wright was one of the founding members of ASCO, which became one of the most influential cancer research organizations in the world. She was also the first woman president of the New York Cancer Society. As a Black woman in the 1940s through 1960s, Wright had to overcome systemic barriers in a medical field dominated by white men. Most of the time, she was overlooked for leadership positions and had to work twice as hard to gain recognition for her research. During her career, there were very few women in high-ranking positions in oncology or medical research. Women were sought to prioritize family over professional contributions, so this added pressure to her medical research. When Wright began her research, chemotherapy was not widely accepted as a valuable cancer treatment, so she also had to undergo certain pressures about this topic. Many doctors and researchers believed that surgery and radiation were the only effective cancer treatments, so she had to prove the effectiveness of chemotherapy through rigorous research. Despite these obstacles, Wright preserved and changed the landscape of cancer treatment. She became a respected leader in oncology, proving that her work spoke for itself. Her success helped open doors for women and African Americans in medicine today.
And being a black woman in medicine in the mid-1900s was an uphill battle. She was working in a field dominated by white men who didn't exactly make space for people like her. So her work was minimized. Her achievements were sometimes even credited to others, and it's frustrating but not surprising. She's not the only one. There are many doctors, scientists, and researchers, especially women and people of color, who made game-changing discoveries but never got the recognition they deserved. We know names like Jonas Salk, Alexander Fleming, but how many Jane C. Wrights are out there, forgotten by history? That's why we have to talk about them. Their stories matter, because without people like Dr. Wright, modern medicine wouldn't be what it is today.
Making great advancements towards cancer treatment, Dr. Wright was able to gain some recognition. She was even appointed to the National Cancer Advisory Board from 1966 to 1970 by Lyndon B. Johnson, the president at the time.
Jane C. Wright's contributions to cancer treatment didn't just change oncology, it saved lives. Her innovative research methods, like using human tissue cultures and delivering chemotherapy directly through tumors, are still shaping cancer treatment today. The chemotherapy drugs she championed, like methotrexate, are not just for cancer but for conditions like rheumatoid arthritis and psoriasis, proving the lasting impact of her work. And yet, despite her groundbreaking research, Wright's name remains largely unrecognized. It's a reminder of the many brilliant minds, especially women and people of color, that are often left out of history books, but their contributions matter. Their stories deserve to be told.
Her daughter, Dr. Allison Jones, reflected, she never gives up and never sees a no in anything. Dr. Wright's legacy wasn't just in textbooks or awards, it's in the lives she extended and the doors she opened for future generations of doctors, researchers, and patients. It is time we give credit where it's due.
This is an excerpt from an interview we did with a patient. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2018. The process moved quickly. A mammogram that detected a 3-centimeter lesion, followed by an ultrasound. A small copper marker was placed to pinpoint the lesion's location. From moment of diagnosis, my focus was on getting treatment as soon as possible. I didn't experience anxiety. I simply concentrated on the next steps. Chemotherapy was never discussed because the cancer was caught early. I didn't require additional support, though Emmy's mother flew up to Canada on the day of my surgery. I remained mobile and never stayed in bed for long. I prioritized healthy eating, organic foods, no red meat, no processed meats like ham or bacon, and no store-bought ready-made meals. I strongly believe that cancer begins with inflammation, so I increased my intake of vitamin D3 to support my immune system. At St. Michael's Hospital, I had an interview with a doctor and a radiation oncologist at the breast clinic. Within a month of my diagnosis, I underwent laparoscopic surgery, which included the removal of a lymph node under my arm. To ensure all cancer cells were eliminated, I received 16 rounds of radiation treatment. From diagnosis to the completion of radiation, the entire treatment process lasted just 3 months. One thing I am incredibly grateful for is that in Canada, I did not have to pay a single cent for my treatment. No doctor fees, no hospital bills, and no cost for 5 years of follow-up appointments.
Okay, so hello, I just have a few questions for you. I would like to start this by asking, who are you all and what it is that you do?
Okay, I'm Allison Jones. I am a psychologist. I work at a full-time job in one of the prisons in Michigan, and I also do a private practice.
And I am Jane Jones, and I'm a retired psychiatrist.
Thank you. So now I would like to ask, what was your mother like, both professionally and personally?
She was someone who was known for her dedication to her work as well as to her family. Personally, she was someone who liked to enjoy herself and was very sociable and friendly. She loved to cook and she socialized with others, entertained and shopped and traveled. She was adventurous and liked to do fun and interesting things and was always up for going places in different parts of the world. And professionally, she loved her chosen occupation and worked very hard at what she did. She loved to help other people, and it was important for her to improve the lives of others, which she did through her research in the field of cancer, oncology, and her groundbreaking clinical trials. And I remember one time had the opportunity to treat the president of Ghana's wife. His name was Nkrumah and her name was Fatima, and she had breast cancer, and she was very proud that, she was able to be of assistance to this person.
What do you believe in all of her years of experience was her most significant contribution to cancer treatment?
I think her use of methotrexate in patients and also the use of tissue culture, rather than just experimenting randomly on animals. So she could test the particular treatment with the person's tissues, cells that she had grown in a petri dish.